and welcome to Roll for Review, where we are going to look at the very best in tabletop role-playing games crowdfunding. This week, we are looking at Kickstarters that launched in the second half of March, and I've got to be honest with everybody. I like weeks that we do the show better than weeks that we don't do the show.
I mean that's fair. You know, we get to sit down and talk about amazing projects, and it's a lot of fun and casual and a good time.
This is fun. I like doing this.
Agreed. All right. Well,
I'm Joe. I'm the creator of the Wanderer's Guide, and I manufacture, produce board games, tabletop projects, role-playing games for a living. This is what I do. I make games.
Hello, humanoids. I'm Hannah, also known as Halfling Hannah. I am a forever DM and a DM resource creator over on YouTube, Patreon, and my website, halflinghobbies.com.
And hello, my name is Alex. I'm a designer and marketer for the Wanderer's Guide, and also an everyday RPG player and gamer.
And together we are Roll for Review, where the three of us collect TTRPG-related Kickstarters like an obelisk collects adventurer memories to feed on, because they're just so good. And we have gathered all the TTRPG-related Kickstarters during this time period, and each of us has picked 3 for us to review. We are going to take turns presenting these projects to you. These we feel like are the most unique and the very best out of what has been released, although there are so many more that we could definitely do, and we always encourage you to go look at Kickstarter and support people over there. So we are going to review these, discuss them, and at the end we will give them a roll for review. This is the number that we feel like this project has earned based on the page layout, the concept, the ideas, and lots of other modifiers. We can add positives and negatives to that roll to give it an end roll for review. And of course, you're going to want to stick around to the very end of the show, because that's where we show off our fun finds. These are just literally anything that we've found on the internet that's about RPGing, and they are really fun. So make sure you stick around for that.
Absolutely. And for those of you who end up loving what you hear, you can find us here every other Tuesday at 7:30 Central, 7:30 p.m. Central. And these videos will also be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So if you miss any of the live, they are uploaded the next day at Roll for Review.
Mm-hmm. All right, Joe, I think you're up first.
I am up first, guys. And I've got a couple to talk about this week. I've got a one I'm really pumped about, one that looks really cool, and one that I still don't understand, but it is too weird.
None of us do. We've been talking about it. We don't understand.
But we'll get to that one, because the first one I want to talk about is just it is what it is. Okay, so which is the best way to describe it, but it's called Adventures Await, and it is a collection of 40 D&D 5e compatible adventures. Okay, now one thing is, we see a lot of projects like this, right? We see a lot of where it's like, hey, here's a collection. In fact, I'll be right back.
Joe has many things. In fact, he supports nearly every Kickstarter we do. So it's not surprised me he has props.
I literally talked about this like 2 weeks ago, or 2 shows ago. I talked about this, and it's already delivered. So props to these guys, EN Publishing, for just being on their stuff. Like this was ready to go. But this is a collection of one-page adventures. Okay, these are not one-page adventures, but we've seen a lot of products that are like, hey, here's a bunch of adventures for your D&D campaign. Now, the reason I want to talk about this one, and I've got to highlight it, okay, because if you want to back this and you're listening to this, go now. They only have 41 hours left, okay? So I really hate the fact that we are covering this one and the way the timing worked out. This, like, if you want to back it, you got to go now, or you're going to have to late pledge, all right? But check this one out, because the reason I wanted to talk about it is because they present it so well. You get so used to seeing Kickstarter pages and looking at them, and just like the content is really light and what you're seeing is really, really minute. But these guys have really put together a great presentation. I always liken it to when you're looking at a Kickstarter page, it's like walking into a store. Right? You're walking into a store, you're looking around, you're seeing what they have on display, and it's an opportunity for you to put your best foot forward. And these guys, the people behind Adventures of Await, have really done a good job of making me look at their page and like what I'm seeing. Okay. And this is what I see. This is their first project. They have another project, but it was for another one-page adventure thing. It did not fund. This one is doing extremely well at this point in time. They have 1,800 backers and $64,000. So they're doing great. Good job.
Right.
Awesome. Sounds like they learned quite a bit from that one that didn't fund, and they really knocked it out of the park on this one.
Yeah. So let's talk about what you're getting. So 40 complete adventures, which is great, right? These are not simple one-page things. These are 40 in-depth adventures, okay? And the things that they're really highlighting here is you get a kind of sample look at what the pages are going to look like, how everything's going to be laid out. It looks really good. 40 unique creatures and monsters. So every adventure, I assume, is going to be based around a creature or monster with unique stats that you can put into any of your games. Here's the good one, right? 70 highly detailed maps.
Imagine maps. Joe's maps.
This is like 1.8 maps per adventure. That is a bargain.
Joe really likes maps, guys.
I really do. 37 powerful magical items that are in them, okay? So you're getting a lot of stuff. You can tell that these people really love role-playing games. They've really put their heart into it, and they're trying to like make this product that they really believe in and that they really feel strongly about, and it's doing very well. They've presented a really interesting, fun thing. They have reviews. What they're showing on the page looks really great. So this is something that I really think that if you're interested in, and you've seen so many of these products, this is one to take a little bit of a chance on, because I think what you're going to get with this one is a very fleshed out product. Okay.
Looks great.
Yeah. Love the art style.
Yeah.
Very adventure-y feeling.
If you watch the video too, guys, the video is really good. They have a really highly skilled digital artist that's been working on this. And so I've been really enjoying all of the stuff that I've seen on this page. Like, just it's put together super well. So good job on that, guys.
That's cool.
Now, we got to talk about the price, which is not bad, right? But $20 for the digital version, right? So small ask. It's a $20 bill if you want to get the digital, okay? $50 for the hardcover, right?
It's a big jump.
Been looking at this and I don't see where they've laid out how many pages the book is. Usually they're really highlighting like 200 pages of content, 250 pages of content, 8,000 pages of content. I'm not seeing that on the page. All I see is 40 complete adventures, right?
Which, how deep are those adventures? They could literally be, here's your adventure in a sentence. There's 40 of those.
I mean, there's 70 maps. There's 40 adventures. There's monster stats. There's item stats. I have to imagine at the end, lots of maps. I have to imagine at the end of the day, this can't be less than like 100, 150 pages. But what it also tells me is that maybe all of the like content hasn't been created yet because they haven't been able to lay it out to guesstimate about how many pages they think the book's going to take, right? So maybe there's still a lot of work left to do on this. And that's just what I'm looking at. But what they are showing is very good. So I've got to review this one. And it's, we've looked at so many of these and a lot of them look good. This one gave a really good review to, because what they were presenting was really well laid out. Okay. What I'm going to give to this page is 17. No modifiers.
Oh, wow.
No modifiers.
Okay.
It is a straight down the middle, solid project. It's not super original, but it's done very well and done at a high degree of quality. Okay. What I think they should do a little bit better is tell me approximately how many pages of content I'm getting. Like you said, 40 adventures. That's good. The other one is, because I didn't see it here, give me one sample adventure. Show me what one. Do they? Where do they?
It's at the top of the page, Joe.
Do they? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, they do have it. Okay. Sorry. let me take a look at this.
Take that off.
The Mines of Kazakhstan.
I really, when I first read that, I was like, the Mines of Kazakhstan?
See, and I went to Comic-Con. It's like Comic-Con in Kazakhstan.
Mines of Comic-Con. So they do provide you with a single adventure.
A map.
Nerds everywhere.
We've got a farm. We've got a pass. Okay, I'm literally in real time downloading stuff. This is great content, guys. You cannot get better than this. Watch me as I download
live reaction. This is a quality show right here.
Okay, so I just downloaded the adventure. I'm opening it. I want to see how many pages this is.
Okay.
All right, so one adventure is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages.
Okay.
Plus it had like 3 maps. So let's just say 10 pages.
Let's get a calculator.
And we
that's easy. Like 300 pages?
So
minimum, this is gonna be a 300 page.
Holy,
that's a lot of pages. So
see, now I go, okay, $60 for sure, worth it.
So we do have a question in the comments, and I do want to highlight it because there may be some first-time viewers tonight, which thank you. Welcome to the channel. We have a question here by Zan Kenny, X-An Kenny. First-time viewer, don't know exactly what 17 with no modifier means. Presumably 17 is out of 20. And welcome, welcome Manadrin, first-time viewer. And what the modifiers mean in terms of score. So score is essentially 1 out of 20 in terms of a d20, but we also have a base score, and that's what we roll it, what we think out of 20 that it is, and that's just our initial gut. But we add modifiers for +1 to creativity, +1 in terms of technology, +2 in terms of just clever idea. Or a minus. It could be a minus for not really showing what we think should be present on the page in our opinions. Again, these are all our opinions.
So
this is an overall ranking, just in our opinion.
This is our ranking system. And since we are an RPG podcast, it's basically a roll of a d20, right? And we're coming up with the roll. 17 is pretty high. 17 out of 20. That means there wasn't a lot of space to improve, but we might be able to give them a plus modifier or a negative modifier. The initial roll is kind of what our gut tells us, and then the modifiers are more of what we notice when we look a little bit deeper, right? Okay. So I'm going to keep my score at a 17. You know, they do have some content. They do have a sample adventure. I did miss that. I apologize.
That's why there's more of us.
Yes, exactly. We caught up with it, but it looks great, guys. Good job to Adventures Await. Congratulations on a successful first campaign.
That's super exciting.
Your stuff looks good. I'm backing this currently at the $40.
Of course you are.
I got the early bird, so I got the book for $40, right?
Nice.
But you can make the choice here. $20 if you want the PDF. If you're somebody that the PDF is good enough for, I gotta get the book though. I gotta get the book.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot. We are book people. Yeah. We like libraries of books.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, I am up next, and the one that I am reviewing, actually, we multiple of us wanted to review this one because it looks really interesting, first of all, for the concept, but second of all, it's innovative. Very, very innovative, and it is called The Darkest House. If you are a fan of horror, gothic, this is for you. This is, in fact, one house, and this house is can be placed in any world, doesn't matter where it's placed. It can be literally in any campaign setting because it's mostly interactions with the players, and it is based on the players' deepest fears, their histories, their biases even. And it's literally a house that brings all of that out of your players, making this an absolutely incredible idea to add to literally any campaign. So first of all, let's look at the amount that it's raised. It has raised $165,000 in pledges, and it has, yes, lots of money, over 200,000. Good Lord, 2,000 backers, still a lot. It has 71 hours left to go, so you have a couple of days to jump on this one if you would like this, which is a super cool idea. This is by Monty Cook Games. They've created 20 other Kickstarters in the past, and they have done very well. They really know what they're doing. So here's the overall of this. This is innovative because it's not just about the house and about getting a cool little horror place for your players to go through. This is completely online. This is designed for online gameplay, or at least for the GM to be utilizing their computer. It is set up to where all of the maps, all of the pictures are easily shareable and downloadable. There's chunks of texts that you can copy with a click and send over to your players. So if there's a whisper or a secret or something that you want just for your player, you can literally click and send that off to them if you're utilizing something on the side like Discord.
Yeah.
And they have so many cool things that have be a part of this because they've hit all but one of their stretch goals. So they're going to have expansions. They have several expansions on here, but they also have soundtrack. So you know that I am a fan of sounds and musicscapes that go along with RPGs. It's just perfect for a full immersion type of story. And The Darkest House is literally a collection of all of the worst things in the world. And it has all sorts of monsters. It has all sorts of rooms. But the thing that I love most about it is it helps you to pull out different things from your players' experiences. So if they almost drowned in your seafaring adventure, they get locked in a room that begins to fill up with water, right? And the house itself is alive. It is an entity. It is a being of some kind, though I would kind of put it in one of those ancient classifications of a being that we don't quite understand. And it has house rules, if I can call it that, because that's funny. But it actually has its own dice. So the house takes actions against the players and is actively trying to harm the players either physically or mentally. Gosh. And the players can interact with the house. They can actually interact with the entity that is the house. And if they fail something, they can interact with the house in order to succeed. But if they do that, then they collect doom for if they exit the house. Then they have all of these negative things that they have to live with for the rest of the campaign. It could be an element of madness. It could be a physical scar. It could be something that literally or figuratively haunts them afterwards. But no matter what, if your players go through this house, they are not going to be the same on the other side. And as a DM, I love anything that grows my characters, that creates character development, even if it's something like, a trait of madness that can add a little something to the game. So that is The Darkest House. Guys, how awesome is that?
I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Al.
I was gonna say, from a player perspective, as someone who doesn't DM, I think thinking about your character as they grow, yes, they gain experience points, they move forward, they learn some spells. But I think a place where you can go that adds emotional scars, or I can say, I went to this house and now I'm forever the campaign haunted, and things like that. I think that's so cool. That adds another depth of rather than just experience points, And
it's a great way for DMs to be able to pull things out of backstories that maybe never got highlighted through the campaign because there wasn't time for it or something, just wasn't there. So you have this dramatic backstory that you've never really done anything with. That is fodder for The Darkest House, That's just every room.
I love horror. And I love introducing horrific concepts into my campaign.
Yeah.
One of the more memorable things that I did to my players is they decided that they were going to go fight a witch, right? They were just going to go track down a witch that lived in these woods and kill her. And
Really?
I sat down as the DM in that it was more of an ancient evil than an actual witch. The townspeople just called it a witch. But I sat down. I said, okay, this is what the party's going to do. And I sat down and I said, how can I make this as creepy as possible, right? And I would love to have access to a tool to basically use to create horrific instances in my campaign. The concept is a little out there. It's not as on the nose as you would expect it to be for an RPG device. But I think what they're trying to do is very innovative and very special.
Yeah, I would agree.
I would love to see how this actually works in a real campaign setting and get some ideas of how other GMs have like used this and implemented it into their game and how that went. Yeah. I think that would be really, really interesting and unique to see. But I think overall, as a concept, it's a winner because the more you can add horrific details into your campaign and the more that you can like I know I'm doing a good job as a DM when I see Alex do this. Like,
yeah.
Right?
Or
Nope.
Yeah. And that's the reaction I go for. And I like putting horrific elements into my campaign.
I also love that they have leaned into the online DMing because in the circumstances, a lot of us have done that and begun to realize, hey, I can run fun, good sessions online with my friends who are across the country, like in your guys' case, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a great online resource, and I really hope people take note of it, and we start to see more and more adventures specifically designed for people who are using their computer and who are running sessions online, because I think it's super innovative and awesome. So my role, how much? That's probably a good thing. So, cost on this, it is just a digital download. That's all that it is. So the basic version of it, to get the whole thing without any of the flair, is $45. So that gets you all the things that you need in it, all the downloads, all that good stuff. They've got an exclusive one, which includes the Devoured Halls, and that's $85, which gives you additional Kickstarter exclusives. It gives you director commentary and a digital art book featuring Kickstarter exclusive art. So you'll get additional things if you want to do that. But $45 is where I would go and where I would
love
stay
the
there.
description on the thing. Is that what you were going to say, Joe?
Yeah, the $45 tier. I love it.
Invites you in. The house hates you. The house relishes solitude. The house is lonely. The house is in pain. The house wants your pain. The house hates you.
I love it.
It's so good.
I love it.
Yep. It's like you almost feel the turmoil of the house.
Right?
I feel you, house. I can just picture like a druid character going in here and like trying to do a counseling session for the house, you know? Anyway, so that is my role. My role is a 17 because it is solid. I love pretty much everything about it, and I'm actually going to give it a +1 modifier for ingenuity. This is the first one that I've seen that really leaned into the online DMing, and I am a fan.
Awesome.
Love it. 18 total.
18 total. Yeah, that honestly, one thing that I'm like really thinking about for that is if you want it to be a staple maybe in your story, you have it have like a sound that plays throughout, like they're wandering through the forest and it's like all of a sudden your players hear and they know that they're about, it's like the room of requirement in Harry Potter, and it follows them throughout their journey, and then randomly the inside changes based on like parts of the story. That's where my head immediately went.
I love there being the concept of like them doing something really bad and getting cursed.
Yeah.
And then every time they find themselves lost, the house appears.
Yes. Love that.
Like you're in a
That could be
mountain,
fun.
and then all of a sudden you see the house, right?
This could also be a cool supplement to Death House and Curse of Strahd. I'm running Curse of Strahd right now, and and people love it or hate it, and I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I love this, so I'm thinking, put that in there instead, and then it can appear anywhere. Be awesome.
Okay, so here's the real question though. What are your guys' favorite horror movies? What's your favorite horror movie of all time?
Okay, it's maybe not my favorite, but one I can always watch, and I don't know why. And I always get the titles confused. The Mist. Is it the Stephen King one? The Mist or The Mist?
Yeah.
For some reason, it's not even that great of a movie, but I love it. And one of my favorite scenes is towards the end where they're driving and all of a sudden they see the colossal monster that's just in the fog. I don't know what it is. I just love that movie. It's not even that good of a movie. I just love sitting there and just watching it.
Well, that's the one where they're trapped in the supermarket for most of the movie, right?
They're trapped in the supermarket.
Yeah.
I love that movie. It's so good.
It's
Nice.
great.
Mine is Shutter Island because I like psychological horrors. Not so much like jump scares or anything like ghosty or anything.
Yeah.
I can't do that, but I love psychological horrors. So Shutter Island is like, love it.
Well, funnily enough, my horror movie is a mixture of insane creature monster design, solitude, and psychological horror, because my favorite horror movie of all time is John Carpenter's The Thing.
Ooh, that's a good
classic.
one. That's a really good one.
Yeah, and honestly, the monster design in that is so good. I'm gonna take some cues from that the next time I put some monsters into my campaign.
Awesome. Well, speaking of monsters, I'm going to move on to my first pick of the night, which is something that's really, really interesting and may, from a DM perspective, make things a little... it may make it a little bit more in-depth for this type of process, but I think this was really, really cool, and I think it's really, really clever. It's called Fatum. It's not... I hope it's not Fatum.
We discussed this. I don't like Fatum.
Or if it's Fatum, you'd usually have the little dots above that, right?
It's Fatum.
It's Fatum, right?
Fatum.
It's Fatum. Dark Myths character creator deck. Now, what really grabbed me first off is this art. It's absolutely gorgeous. But what it is, it's a new, beautiful illustrated deck for Fatum. And Fatum was their first... Saying Kenny, Fatum, fade all of them. You use this to create your character in noir, modern, futuristic, and alternative role-playing games. And they've gamified almost the character creation process by using these tarot style cards that you're almost using this tarot style approach. Now, the very first version of Fatum was really kind of the base characters, the base class, paladin, bard, warrior, all these different types of different characters. But this one is specifically for dark style myths and like the Cthulhu style character, these really, really dark art styles, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I think it's super, super cool, and I think it's a really, really interesting approach to the character creation process. And even you downloading this as a person, just not a DM, and just creating your own character when you're maybe setting up a new game. It's really, really interesting. So it's a beautifully illustrated with exclusive artwork designed to delight game masters and players alike. It has cards for backstories, bonds to certain things. It's really based on H.P. Lovecraft, which I know, Hannah, you're a huge fan of. So that's also...
I gotta pull a Joe. You keep
pull
going.
A Joe? Okay, you
Yeah,
gotta go find something.
You keep going.
But there are things like personality parts of the cards, and there's different sides, like cultist versus scientist. You have like these different sides to the cards. Okay, yeah. The complete fiction of H.P. Lovecraft. That is a gorgeous... Oh my god, that's beautiful.
It's so pretty.
So essentially, when you're putting these cards down, you put them down in their specific order. There comes a rule book tells you exactly how to do it. But there are personality cards that coward or brave, vengeful or masochistic, fanatic or tolerant. Background, are they a scientist or a cultist, a spy or a witness? Bonds, do they have bonds to relatives, a descendant, beneficiaries, patrons? And then certain events like love or death or research, revealing the truth, and a place, even locations where this character might be. So this is a really, really interesting approach to this type of process of creating a character. And again, it might be a little bit more in depth to it, but I think it also adds another level to the world builder, to perhaps the DM. As you're going through it, you're kind of spinning this character as it starts to come to life. And also, as you start to reveal these cards, because I'm a very visual person and all this stuff kind of happens in my head, I'm picturing you guys as a DM. If you want to take more of an overview of a creator in this world, you're flipping these cards and this character starts to appear in the smoke as you make its background. It's this, with this type of theme, it's really, really interesting. So there are all these different types of cards. And it's really, really super interesting. It comes with a playmat. It has all these deck mechanics on how you're putting this together. And it's by Fatum. And again, this is their second campaign, the first being the base set of Fatum. They've raised $73,000 of their $4,706 goal. So they have smashed their goal. Over 832 people. 832 people have backed it, so over 830 people. And it funded in 8 minutes.
Wow.
So they have a very passionate support already behind them. And so they're definitely doing something really, really well. I think this is really, really interesting, and it really grabbed my eye. It's definitely really specific, but how much does it cost? The first thing, it's about $33. There are 88 cards in this.
Oh, wow.
88 cards, a playmat, a rulebook in a limited edition box, and access to the pledge manager after the campaign. That's great for $33, especially with a playmat and the rulebook and all the cards. That's a great deal, in my opinion. Especially playmats. They're not the cheapest thing to manufacture, and they, especially based on the materials, I think this is super, super great deal. You can go with Acolyte, which you receive Investigators rewards and add-ons, which is Gothic Punk expansion, Sci-Fi expansion, Steampunk expansion, and Epic Paths expansion. So,
ooh, Steampunk.
So there are more characters and cards, things like that. So there are ways to go up from there, but I think if you just want to get these initial character creator cards, $33 is a great deal. What do you guys think?
It looks like a very cool way to do like your character creation. Like if it seems like something that like would inspire your character like creation abilities, I think it's something that is really cool and really worth like looking into, especially if you're really into like the process of that, right? And you're not just like, our next character will be this, right? And you just like make it up on the spot and you're just like, that's my new character. If you're somebody that likes that process, or like, you know, some DMs, they're super into the NPCs that they build, right? This could be a really interesting, in-depth way to build NPCs. I see a lot of uses for it. I just know that, like, for my personal style, it doesn't, like, there's a lot of work in the behind the scenes that it's asking you to do. That's like, just for my thing, I'd rather kind of like just have a resource that has NPCs as opposed to a creation aspect of it.
No, I agree. I think everyone creates differently, and this really appeals to that visual creator. You know, that you can literally see things start to come to life in front of you. And who doesn't like cards? Cards are just fun.
Especially
like
the gorgeous
it's
ones.
Fun. Yeah, and they're gorgeous. The artwork alone would inspire. And so if you like leaving things to the fates, I can't say that I like that as much. I like standard array and, you know, point buy. Not so much a roll for my modifiers type of gal. But I do like this artwork. It is super cool. It is, and I like it a lot. I think it's fun. Absolutely. So what'd you give this for your review?
So because this is an add-on, right? This isn't a full story. This isn't a full game. This is so as we start to hit later episodes, I'm starting to kind of adjust my scores, and I can, as we have 1 through 20, right? So we're trying to adjust a little bit. So with these kind of things, I've decided to kind of pull back on some of my ratings based on what type of product it is. So this one, I'm going to rank it as a 14. This is a solid addition to someone who is specific in terms of what they like to do in terms of creating their characters and things and things like that. It's very specific. So I'm giving it a base of 14. I'm giving it a +1 modifier for art. I think this is gorgeous and it deserves it. I am also giving this a +1 modifier for creativity in terms of the overall process and experience. I think it deserves a little bit of taking something that could be mundane in terms of creating a character and gamifies it. I think that's very unique and that's something that I haven't seen before. So it's a total of 16. And Zan Kenny in the comments agrees with you, Joe, the thing and lazy DM philosophy. He says the thing and lazy DM philosophy, he feels like they feel a connection with you.
Yeah, that's the way I use. Sometimes I prep out a lot, and sometimes I like have an idea and I wing it, right? And then I'm at my computer like 20 minutes before the session starts, like being like, all right, I need to find a map. I guess
it doesn't matter if you prepped or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a whole book and you go, well, that didn't work.
Those have been our first 3 projects. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a quick break just to get some water, take a quick break for about a minute, and you guys are going to hear all about something that is near and dear to our hearts. We'll be back in a quick second.
The Wanderer's Guide is a 50-page compendium designed to enhance your fantasy RPG campaigns. Immersive, beautiful maps and artwork by Andrew Bosley. Dry erase pages for quick editing and changes as your campaign evolves. An abundance of tokens to add more character, landmarks, features, and customization to your campaign. An interactive NPC system for adding lots of variety and plot hooks for the Game Master to engage the players. Artwork featuring fun details and story elements to enhance collaborative storytelling, world building, and spark the imagination of the players and the Game Master. The Wanderer's Guide. Your world, your adventure.
All right, guys, we're back, and I'm going to talk about a project that is really cool, and I mean really cool. This is Legendary Kingdoms Crown and Tower. This is book 2 in the Legendary Kingdoms RPG gamebook series, an epic choose-your-own-adventure style gamebook set in a sandbox fantasy world. Excuse me. It's killing it right now. 2,700 backers, $186,000 raised. So absolutely crushing it on Kickstarter right now.
Wow.
It's awesome.
This is the 3rd product that John and Oliver, that's what the Kickstarter account is called, John and Oliver, have brought. And they've brought like a bunch of random stuff. They have like a dice ice cube tray that they made, and like
a dice cube tray, if you will.
A dice cube?
Yeah, it's really they've been all over the place, but I wanted to highlight this because I don't think that the first book that they made of this went to Kickstarter, because I couldn't find it anywhere on Kickstarter. But this concept is blowing my mind, guys. All right, so this is a solo RPG experience, or you could play it as kind of a one person reads the book as the GM and everybody around the table chooses a character. But that again seems like that seems like the most scripted way to play an RPG, right? Is like basically a choose your own adventure book by consensus. I think this is meant to be a soloable experience, right? But here's what's really cool about it, right? It has a world that remembers. Choices that you make in the game, people you betray, friends that you make, the game is going to remember those things, and they will affect outcomes that happen later on in the books. Not only that, but there is a changing and evolving world, okay? So when you do something, when you burn the village to the ground in the thing, that is going to affect like how the world around you opens up and changes, right?
Oh, that's cool.
There's a super high level of detail. They have built out the lore of this world into the finest of minute details, all right? And this is a game that is based upon a party of adventure. So depending on what characters you create and bring with you and what their skills are will help you or hurt you in different situations as you do different things in the game. And there were some things said that absolutely blew my mind, like absolutely blew my mind. So I have to read some of these things. Raise an army and fight mass combat battles with thousands of soldiers on each side. You conquered one realm, just transfer your troops from one book to another, and you can capture another city.
Wait, what?
What? Like, I don't even know how this works.
Like D&D Risk.
They're like, you can basically raise an army and destroy the world, and then you can just take that army to another book and destroy another part of the world. Like,
yes.
What on earth? Sail the world with your own ship, gather an armada, and defeat powerful rulers with your own fleet of warships, or peacefully trade goods between rich ports.
I want to be a pirate. I want to be a pirate so bad.
There's magical secrets to unlock. You can forge your own magical items. Ooh. There is a globe spanning mega plot. Like, this is so strange to me.
Oh my
gosh. I literally, it's blowing my mind what this product even is, because if this book can do everything and here's the thing, this is book 2. They've already made one of these books, right?
Wow.
This is the second book in the series, and I am absolutely like blown over with what they're saying is possible with this experience. And like, this is something that, like, as somebody that never gets to play an RPG because I'm always the DM, it sounds like such a fun experience to just, like, you know, cozy into a chair at the end of a long day and just spend an hour just like working through this adventure and writing stuff down and making your own choices as a player with this really deep, in-depth story. Plus is something that can give you just, it's from what it sounds like, tons of inspiration for your own campaign. If this is fleshed out and as deep as they say that it is, I just can't even begin to understand what's going on. They want to make 6 of these books. Each book features a very specific is like hyper focused on a specific region of their world. And they're apparently able to take your party that you've created from one book to the next, to the next, to the next, and continue just like interacting with this world.
Gotcha.
So much development. I can't even imagine the product development that's gone into this. The sheer just level of every aspect of this product must go through such painstaking but probably such rewarding processes. Like, oh my god, wow,
it's impressive, very impressive.
And they're showing so much, like all of the stuff that they have on their Kickstarter page, everything that they're showing, it looks so good. It looks like everything is just really fleshed out, really great concept. It looks like this is very, very well put together.
In the comments, Zankenny is actually saying that each region came out of a campaign that Oliver specifically ran.
Yeah, I completely believe it.
That would make sense. More sense why it's so fleshed out. Yeah.
So here's where I kind of stand, right, with this product. let's talk a little bit about the price, okay? Because we always want to talk about what the value in this is. All right. If you just want to give this a shot, if you just want to pick up one of these books and just give it a try, you can pick up their new book, Crown and Tower, which honestly, to me, they have 2 books. The first one's called The Valley of Bones. It takes place in like a desert. And the second one's called Crown and Tower, and it takes place in a region where there's like 2 warring factions. That sounds more fun. That just sounds like more fun. I don't like sand. You know, I'm very.
What are you,
very,
Anakin Skywalker?
I was gonna say, me and Anakin Skywalker are very similar on that. We're like anti-stand there.
Oh my gosh.
$27. You can pick up one of these books and give it a try. That is a very low entry for this.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's true.
but if you want both books, if you want to pick up both books, $48, right? Like literally, like very, very cheap to pick up both books. In fact, picking up both of these books is actually cheaper than the one book that I just talked about with The Adventures Await. So I mean, there is like that. There's that. But also,
Oh God. Oh well.
for $135, you can get both hardcover limited edition versions of the book, plus exclusive
Here it comes.
Kickstarter character artwork, plus, hold on,
Wait for it.
deluxe character sheets and
Not quite there.
maps.
There it is.
There it is.
Big, giant, fold-out maps of the
Yep.
world and the regions. So
1, 2, 3. Joe's
maps.
I'm telling you, the value that I saw in this, that's the way you get me to spend over $100 on your campaign. Is you're like, oh, here's the book for $50, but here's the book and a map for $500. I'm like, oh well, I can't not spend that much.
Clearly, there's only one option here.
And did you, Joe?
Yeah, I'm all in for this. $135. I mean, I want the. It looked like I mean, sure, I could spend the $48 and get both books and all of the content, but then I would miss out on like the maps.
The maps.
And,
The maps, yeah.
but like,
We can't do it.
I actually think that this is something I would use. So if I'm going to use it, this is something where I'd want to like set the maps out, have the character sheets, have the entire thing, and actually play this like I was playing a game. So for that reason, I'm backing at the very high level. But
like I know what
honestly,
role
if
you're
this
using
product sounds fun to you, $27.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great value.
Super affordable.
I feel like I know
Yeah.
what you're gonna give this roll, Joe.
Oh.
I don't think you do.
Oh.
I am going to roll this an 18.
Oh.
+1 for the sheer concept and scope. If these books can deliver on what this Kickstarter page is saying they can, if my options are literally as unlimited as what they're trying to sell me they are, and they have found a way to build this system into the most extravagant choose your own adventure book of all time, I am so in for this. So I'm going to give it an 18 +1 for concept and scope.
Solid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Total
Yeah.
for 19.
Speaking of insane
Cool.
scopes of projects,
That's where I shine. I love them.
Really quick, Zan Kenny,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Joe, but they say, Joe, they rate you a 20, but with a -1 modifier for not giving this a nat 20.
That was clever. Okay, guys. All right, boys. We're gonna go to hell. Because we're going to look at Inferno, but Dante's Guide to Hell for 5e. This is an insanely cool project, and I can only read half of it because the other half is in Italian that I do not speak. But the half that I did read looks amazing. So, new viewers, case you don't know, I'm an English teacher by trade. I teach sophomores and juniors, and I love literature. And so pretty much anything that is based in literature, I'm probably going to review it, good or bad. This one, oh boy, is it a big project. First of all, it's raised a ton of money. We're at $279,000.
Whoa.
Huge amount of money. Their goal was $23,000. So yeah, over 2,000 backers. It's got 9 days to go, so you got plenty of time to go and check it out, see if it's something that you would be interested or not. This creator only has 2 projects, this being one of them. Look at the other created project though, real quick before we get into this full thing, because I'm in love with it. So did you guys grow up watching spaghetti westerns?
Yes.
Yeah, right? They're westerns, but they're set in Italy because it looked more western than the western United States does now, apparently. So this project prior to this is a spaghetti fantasy.
Oh my
god. And it was fully funded as well, did great. Barcanona, I don't know, I want it too. It sounds amazing, but it's an all Italian medieval roguish picturesque setting for 5th edition, the most famous role-playing game.
Oh my gosh.
I know, isn't this amazing? So right there,
and then they
makes
went to
my
Dante's
heart.
Inferno?
And then they went to Dante's Inferno, which, I mean, Italian author, makes sense, I guess, in a way. If you haven't read Dante's Inferno in high school, I'm sorry for you. I'm so sorry you didn't have that experience. We'll pray for you. But Dante's Inferno is messed up. It was written by a blind dude who, his ideas of what hell was like, there's 7 layers, and good lord, they are all terrifying. And so they've taken that idea and those concepts, and they've created literally an entire game around it. It uses the settings of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, but it is itself a full campaign. It has a dungeon master's manual and a monster manual. It has a player's manual, and then it has an extras book. So this is a 3-book series. You're gonna get maps. You're gonna get a special DM screen, which looks so cool. It looks so cool. So, of course, the first quote is, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here, as you are going into the gates of hell." So I want to read the first part of this instruction because it's in English, first of all, so I can read it. Second of all, it does a really good job. But they have been working on this for years, based on the epic narrative poem that was widely considered to be one of the preeminent works of Italian literature, 100% true. And one of the greatest pieces of world literature ever, into a role-playing game. All perfectly combined with a sense of wonder and spectacularity and the amusement of 5th edition. Our Inferno is not just a hell-themed campaign setting. So you may be thinking, forever in hell? Why would I want to run an entire campaign in hell? It's not all it is. It's a unique and unforgettable experience because they've studied this poem for years, and one of the things about the poem that's so incredible is the philosophical implications of it. And they've actually put that into this game. So not only is it a fun, slay the demons, make your way through the layers of hell and rescue someone kind of a thing, but it's also a philosophical and philological experience with the content and a cool way to explore world literature that you may never have thought of before. And as an English teacher, I kind of want to buy this and I want to run a D&D group at my school of Dante's Inferno because then I can call it school.
Yeah, you could. That's
yeah,
very fair.
It's world literature. It's fine. And then a lot of the rest of this is in Italian. Good news, they specifically say that they're going to produce the books in English and Italian, and you get to pick which one that you want. So the books will be in English.
Good call.
And yeah, so you're going to have a whole DMs, you're going to have a whole players, which the players can read everything, but mostly it's for the character creation. It's got some backstory settings, why they're in hell, what their goals are, how they can get out of hell, right? All of those things are going to be in that book to give them some ideas on that. And then you as the dungeon master, you have the full setting, all the layers of hell, all of the monsters and all that stuff are in that for you. Whew. So big scope
Yeah.
project. This artwork's already so cool. I mean,
it has to be this quality. I mean, it's gorgeous. Oh my god.
This is some of the best artwork I have seen.
Oh yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah, like, and I think why it works so well is it's the immersiveness of this artwork, right? Like
Yes.
it puts you in a place, right?
Mhm.
Which is really, really spectacular. And like even the artwork that they show inside, like the way that they're using just these like deep reds and these like black like mirroring images is like extremely striking and
Mhm.
horrific. Honestly.
It's so cool. The player like options as well, if you go down to like the archetypes, like the different types of archetypes that you can use in it are very much like from the poem and very much feel like they belong there, you know? Because that's the other part. It's like, okay, are you just ripping this off and making it into something cool, or are you doing it justice? And so far from what I've seen from the architects, from what they're talking about, like the monsters in there and the overall setting, it feels so right.
So
it feels so right.
We got a question in the comments that I am not sure how to answer, but one of you guys might. Does it work with something like Avernus? Avernus?
Okay, so Avernus, Descent into Avernus is a pre-written D&D adventure, right? Have not run it myself, have many friends who have run it. So Avernus has 9 layers of hell. And has a specific hierarchy and ranking, and each one of those layers is somewhat based on Dante's, but is not the same. So Dante's is going to be 7 layers of hell, and it's going to be very, very specific on certain ones. So Avernus took the idea and then got rid of some of the insanely creepy parts of it, like, you know, just a whole layer of unbaptized babies. Just crawling around trying to kill you. So yeah, that's forgot about that, didn't you?
Gotta baptize those babies.
You gotta baptize those babies, or they're gonna end up in the first layer of hell. That's how that works. So Avernus is very much D&D's answer to this idea of hell, whereas that's why this is completely different. It works with the mechanics of D&D, but it is itself something completely different. And I wouldn't try to merge the two together. I don't think that they'd fit well. My opinion. Could be wrong. I don't have access to it yet, so.
This would be, oh my gosh. This would be, so here's the thing. Absolutely would love to try this, but I feel like every session I would be finishing up just like,
yeah.
So that's the thing is like, I like to introduce elements of horror. It's a lot to ask of a dungeon master and the players to run an entire campaign set in hell, right? And I think that that's one of the things that this is wanting you to do. Like if you're going to invest the you'll talk about price in a second, but if you're going to invest a sizable amount of money into this type of product, I feel I want a minimum an 18-month campaign, like minimum, to get what I feel my money's worth is out of these books, right? And use them to their fullest capacity. I want 18 months worth of a campaign, right? That being said, it's a lot of like it's daunting to me to think of running because here's the thing, right? Like you lose that opportunity of being you lose that opportunity of being like let's go to the shop, right? Or let's have a lighthearted adventure in the middle of the wilderness where you know you know and it's like it feels like if you're going to run this campaign well, there's no breaks. Like there's no breaks. It just gets worse.
That's entirely possible. I'm not disagreeing. That is entirely possible. And if that's what you want it to be, you can make it that way. But any story is what you make of it.
No,
and
of course.
A big part of this is the idea of, will you hold on to hope? And finding ways in the middle of all of this to hold on to that hope, and to continue through the hope that you'll get out, right? Just like Dante, when he went through everything, the hope was that he would find his love, right? That's the whole reason he went through all of those things, was to find his love and bring her back out of hell. So
I think this is.
It's delicate.
Yeah, I think this definitely needs the right people for this, and you'll have a specific group, and that this is perfect for. I think for the casual player, this is most likely going to be too much. And this is
imagine sitting down to play your first role-playing
and
game.
you're getting Dante's
Dungeon
Inferno.
Master's like,
No!
guys, we're going to hell and we're never leaving. Like,
Here we go.
It's you need to.
This is everything my mother said D&D was.
This is an experience for, I think, an experienced group.
Yeah, exactly. You need to
Joking on teaser.
You need to not have this be this is someone who's very experienced, who's not going to be trying to focus on anything else but being invested in this story and not feeling overwhelmed, because the story in and of itself is going to most likely overwhelm, because that is the basis of the story. It is heavy. It is
an epic.
A lot.
Yes.
It's an epic. It's going to be that. So you have to know what you're getting into without having to figure out what you're doing.
Does it say anything about like what level this is? Like, is this meant to be like you start as level 1 characters?
1 through 20.
Okay, so this is this is
Full
a
thing.
full so if this is a level 1 through 20, this is like a 5-year campaign of hell.
Yep.
Oh man, because I have to imagine that even if you're meeting weekly, it's gonna take a solid 5 years to get to like a level 20.
And it's a grind, and they straight up say that. So in their featured, they're like, all of your players are lost ones who are in hell for one reason or another, and they're trying to get out. They cannot die there. They cannot be defeated. They cannot lose the way to the last gate, but they could despair, fail, and be damned forever.
Fun.
Hey!
Or I guess
Joy.
I guess you guys talk about
money.
money. Yeah.
Money.
Yes, money.
So your investment, if you want to run this, is fairly low if you don't want any physical copies, which I am so grateful we live in a day and age when we can get amazing stories like this on our digital devices. So for a PDF version, you're looking at about $35 US, 29 euros. And that gets you Inferno, which is the Guide to Hell, which is the player's version. Gets you Virgello's Untold Tales, and it gets you the stretch goals and all that stuff. So it's the basics to get you going. You want all the things, though, the entire setting, all the things that come with it. You're looking at Dante's Guide to Hell, the Untold Tales guide, two sets of them. Oh, PDF and physical, sorry.
Yes.
So PDF and physical versions of everything and all the stretch goals, you're looking at about $101. So this is a full up investment. However, this is still cheaper than if you're trying to get into D&D and you get a player's handbook, a dungeon master's manual, and a monster manual, which is going to run you about $150. And you have to think about it like that, because that is what this is. It is a full set to run a full game. So it is still cheaper than D&D stuff. But yes, it's going to be about $100 if you want the physical. If you don't,
well, I think
it comes with maps, right? So
it comes.
Physical map. I'm getting to the physical map back for you, just for you, because that is another jump up. Physical map pack, the DM's screen, all the physical stretch goals and everything. That's going to be $148. That's going to be your Dungeons and Dragons base set level.
Yeah.
But I think maps.
You do get maps, which look absolutely incredible. And I think here's the thing. You're right. You're right, Hannah, in terms of basic D&D with all the stuff you're spending. You're starting with about $150. I think what you're getting here is such a large campaign and such a large, meaty, like, just there's so much here that I think that's a pretty solid value. It definitely, the immediate gut response is to go, ooh, $100. But then as soon as you start to really look into this page, you start to understand why. And you start to get it. And I do not fault them for that.
And as a DM, even at $148, I'm like, yeah, okay. It's worth it. Because the art alone, good Lord. Can you imagine how pretty those maps are going to be based on this art? God. They're going to be gorgeous. It's going to be so cool.
They might be the second best map in the RPG game.
second best.
Second best. Yeah.
It's really good. It's really good. So I'm a fan. I am loving it. I think it's really, really super cool. So my role, because I knew that not everybody would love this, this is a little different. It is a 15, and I'm giving it a +1 because literature. Love me.
A
some good
+1
literature.
for literature. Okay.
Yeah, that's a new one. We haven't done that in modifier before, I don't think, but it's classic. It makes you seem super classy when you run this, I feel like. So 16 total on this for me. There's still some unknowns. It's still a big investment, which is a big part of it, but it is so cool and so gorgeous and a great idea.
Absolutely. Wow. Hard to follow that. I'm going to bring it back quite a bit, and with something a little bit different. This is going to be something that is an add-on to miniatures, and I thought this was really, really cool. So a little bit of my background, I am also a product designer. My degree is in product design, so I'm always really looking out for things that enhance the experience with maybe books, with your miniatures, with your overall scenery, with your overall experience and ease of that experience, but something that also adds a new level of experience to what you're playing. And this is World's First Interactive Miniatures. That's definitely a very big title and promises, I would say, probably a little too much for a title, but I also thought these were really, really interesting. High quality fantasy minis with unique features keep track of hit points, status, spells, and much more. So they, if you ever seen, there was a thing called item meeples where you could kind of add little items onto meeples in the board game world. Joe knows exactly what I'm talking about. You should look those up if you haven't seen them before. But you can add like firewalls, a magic shield. They snap onto the bases of these miniatures. So first off, these miniatures are absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely incredible. I think these are beautiful miniatures, and there are so many. And there are a ton of different things you can add on. There are things for initiative. There's damage counters. Like I said, there's magic shields. There's items. There's all these really, really interesting things. Deafen status tokens, bow weapon tokens, hellhound miniatures that have been now included, poison status tokens, 15 colored stands that go beneath them. This is an entire package of these really awesome interactive miniatures. It's by Game Start. They have created 7 different campaigns. This one has raised $196,000.
Wow.
So much money. Their initial goal was $23,000, and they have over 1,000 backers. This is really, really interesting. I think it's really, really cool. They have these really awesome GIFs that show exactly how they work, and they're kind of comparing. I think this is a really interesting marketing tool. As a marketer, where when you're looking at a page, you really want to see what sets their product apart, and they have this GIF here that really shows that off. Firewall spell, hit points taken, and then an old system where nothing literally happens. Firewall spell, mirror image spell, hit points token, all of these different GIFs that really show off what they do. And I think that's really, really smart, along with these really, really great renderings. I think this is just a really smart product. Now, here's the thing. There are things out there where you can just buy them separately. You can buy rings that have statuses on them. You can buy a lot of different additives. These go directly with these miniatures, so might be a little bit more limiting because you have to stay within this. But this is really, really interesting. I think it's a step in a direction of adding more interaction with D&D. And that's something I'm always looking for. Now, if this is the best option, it may not be. However, I think it was super interesting and something to highlight if you're looking to maybe add a new level of interaction with your game components. What do you guys think? And my role will reflect this opinion as well. So what do you guys think of these interactive miniatures?
It looks very fiddly. Like I'm just going to be completely honest. Like, it looks like there's a lot of it looks like more than what I'm willing to do for like a combat, but also, okay. And here's another thing. I'm not a super like I'm kind of just like a roll with it combat DM. Like I'm not like super like I really always will like err to the rule of cool when it comes to combat, or like defer to the story for the outcome of the combat rather than be like, well, the rules say that you can't like and for me, like if I'm playing around a table where I would be using these miniatures anyway, most of my DMing is online, so it's not that useful for me anyway. But like if I had a big map and I had miniatures and I was using it, I'd rather like just lay down a token next to the miniature to like show a status effect. And there's a million really cheap products like that exist on the market. This is a very big investment for something that like I personally would not use.
I love the big ones.
Yes.
So I love the magic shield. I love the firewall. I love like stuff like that, especially if you have the mirror image. Love that, especially if I didn't see that they had like spiritual weapon or what's the other one that they go around you? Spiritual guardians. Spiritual guardians.
Spirit guardians.
Yeah, that would be super cool as well. I didn't really see those on there just when I was scrolling through, but I love those big ones. I would lose those teeny tiny pieces so freaking fast.
Yes.
My storage for my miniatures is so embarrassing. So a Starbucks will put their specialty beans in those cylindrical cans with the lid. That's what I have all my miniatures in.
And you just dump them on the table?
I just dump them on the table when I want them and pull stuff out. So these tiny ones would be gone in a heartbeat. But I think these are super cool for players, and I would love to see a specific creation. Just like you can go on and you can create your character, and you can pick, I want my spiritual guardians to look like this, and I want the mirror image spell, and I want blah blah blah. Right? That would be so cool and so useful. As a DM, I would lose half of this crap instantly.
This is the discussion that I was actually really hoping would pop up when I brought up this campaign, because I think with this type of thing, it really, really, really depends on the player, and it depends on the person buying this. Now, obviously, they have almost $200,000 raised. It's done very, very well. I think as a product designer, I look at this and I say the same types of things where you potentially lose those smaller pieces. I'm looking at the value add of adding those numbers and the smaller parts. I'm looking at what is going to be the biggest bang for my buck. And I agree with you, Hannah. I think the cooler things are the larger spells. The things that maybe, for example, those guardians you say where you can customize them and they're bigger and they are more of a visual difference maker rather than a small number. I think those things are less likely to appear as a value add initially and almost come off as an initial, for a lack of better word, I'm going to say gimmick. And I think, again, step in the right direction. I think there are a lot of things here that are great. I think there are things here that are as fiddly, but also there's ways to make this better. And again, this is a really, really great opportunity. They've done very, very well. But I think it's really great to look at these types of products and think, how do I want to play my games? How can I customize my games? And maybe ways that another project can come about. Because we also want to talk about how people structure their pages. We want to talk about how people might be able to come up with different ideas for these types of things. So that is what I wanted to highlight for this. Now, what does it cost? This is actually going to give you, you have to spend $53 for one interactive system box, which is all of the items, but it does not include the miniatures.
Say that again.
I don't understand.
It's okay. Let me go.
How can I use the things without the miniatures?
That's what I wanted to highlight here, because it doesn't really initially make sense. And
okay. Hold on. This is like if you just already have a bunch of miniatures, but you're really just interested in getting like the snap-on bases. This should work with standard.
Oh, there's snap-on. Oh,
some of them are snap-on.
This should work with traditional D&D miniatures.
There you go.
Like pretty okay.
Thank you. I thought it was new.
They do have. What, are you new here? I've been watching a lot of like Boy Meets World lately, which is funny because like it's in the 90s and that was like an insult that they used all the time. Like, what are you new here?
Yeah. Like, yes, I am. Yeah, now I see. I'm looking at a GIF. I should have looked at the GIF.
Yes, there you go. So it comes with those, and
okay.
that immediately needs to be highlighted at the top of this page.
Yeah,
because not everyone.
Yeah, that's great.
That is buried. That is something you need to highlight immediately. That
I don't think they want people to pledge for that though. They want people to pledge for $250 fucking worth of pre-painted miniatures with a dragon lich and
exactly.
Ooh,
and I think from a marketing standpoint, people have miniatures. If I'm looking at this, I'm going to say, where are we going to get the most bang for our buck in terms of having people purchase our product? Go for the thing that makes your product stand out. And yes, these are beautiful miniatures, but a lot of people have beautiful miniatures. What you're selling is an interactive product. And the interactive product, if
I actually really appreciate that. Yeah. So I can use them on I spend a ton of money on miniatures. It's nice that you can this is something you can add to it.
Separate edition. And I think
that's cool.
would have been more worthwhile to hype up rather than investing so much time in the miniatures. And that is, I get where they're coming from. And Joe, you may be right. They want people to go for those miniatures, and they are beautiful. They've spent a lot of time working on them, and they're gorgeous. But I think you're selling more of that interaction point rather than...
Yeah, because, I mean, only 6 people have gone for the miniatures, so
you have
that's not where they're at.
Going for the $53 backer point.
Yep.
And that's something you really need to look at in terms of your analytics of your page. And that's why I really want to talk about this, because this had a lot of different points talking about a Kickstarter page and how you structure your levels, how you highlight your product. So super interesting product. However, again, they've made quite a lot. They have over $200,000. Joe, did you want to say something?
There's no conditions either.
I'm looking at this, and all of the early birds are gone. So this is, and maybe this is just now getting started. This didn't launch. This launched like this week, right?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm looking and it's like 88 people are backing at that level. 4 people are backing with the miniatures added, the base one, and then 7 people with the more miniatures, and then for the pre-painted one, only 5 backers. Everything else is an early bird, which I mean, a lot, like 500 people that are like all in with the early bird get all the miniatures and stuff. But I'm curious to see how this like levels out across the campaign, right? Are they gonna get everything up front? Now people are looking at it and being like, oh, I'm not gonna spend, because I didn't get the early bird. I just want to see how this like plays out. But they have tons of money, so
they did great.
I think it would be interesting to take a look back at this one and see what actually is gonna happen at the end of this campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really interesting study. It's a really cool project.
They're innovating.
They're innovating. Absolutely great.
Yeah, it's something new. I haven't seen that before.
I have to give this a roll. I am going to give this...
Bless you.
I think the base roll I'm going to give this is a 12. And I think because 1, it's very specific. 2, they've done very well in terms of money. I think we cannot fault that. However, I think you take out a lot of opportunity when all of your pledge levels are 1 in the early bird. And then you're making people essentially buy the miniatures, but then you're not talking about the thing that is $50 and all of your other pledge levels are now no longer available. So that is a little bit of a disconnect for me. And so I'm going to give this a base roll of 12, and I'm going to give it a +1 for general beautiful miniatures, ingenuity, and just creativity. And I think it deserves a +1 because it obviously is doing things well. But for me, this is more of a study on Kickstarter functionality, and there's a lot of questions. So that's where I fall on this. We've already been streaming for almost an hour and a half, and we have 3 to go. So we are going to take another break, and we are going to actually hear from one of our hosts, Hannah. We'll be right back.
Hello, Humanoids, I'm Halfling Hannah, the creator behind Halfling Hobbies. And here at Halfling Hobbies, you are going to find DM resources and only DM resources. We are here for dungeon masters, creating all sorts of things from puzzle templates and downloadable puzzles to DM binder pages, NPCs, loot cards, everything that you could possibly need to help give your game advantage. All of it comes with a healthy serving of food and drink, along with that special halfling hospitality. So grab a mug of ale and a slice of cake, sit back, relax, and dig in to Halfling Hobbies.
Hey guys, I'm a little nervous because
Why is that, Joe?
I don't know how to tell you about this project, but I will do my best, guys. I will do my best. The project that I'm going to talk about last is Cerebos, the Crystal City, a tabletop game of memory, attachment, and riding the uncanny rails. Okay, so this project spoke to me. I looked at it, and when I was choosing my third project, you know, I was looking at so much RPG stuff, and I was looking at so much stuff, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go with the project that really like reached out and said, there's something special about this. Okay, now I don't really know where to begin with this project, so I'm just gonna like read the description. Okay, and we'll try to talk about this a little bit. Okay. Cerebos, the Crystal City, is a tabletop role-playing game about exploration and self-actualization. It's also about crossing a surreal desert by train, visiting improbable cities, and experiencing sublime understanding among uncommon vistas. It's about homesickness and lumpy beds, and brand new stew, and finding a coda for the broken song in your heart. The player characters are travelers from the city by the sea, bound to mementos of the past, even after their identities have been worn away by the endless desert. They seek Cerebos. Through motion, reflection, and the actions of their fellow passengers, they rediscover who they were and decide who they will be when they reach the Crystal City.
Is this like an afterlife RPG? Are these people dead?
I cannot answer that question in good faith. But what I can say is this seems like the type of role-playing game that is very much focused upon building an experience with a group of people and telling a story. In Zine Quest, we saw a lot of these pop up, and we covered a lot of them, and some of them seemed really, really, really cool. This one seems extremely well thought through, though trying to explain something like this through the means of a Kickstarter page seems like a very tall order and a very difficult task. I almost professionally look at Kickstarter pages. That is what my day job is. Yep. And guess what? It's what I do in my spare time for this show. I look at Kickstarter pages. I have looked at this Kickstarter page endlessly, and I'm still not 100% sure what I'm doing in this game. But my best idea is that you are a person, a physical being that you create these like mementos and ties to the past with physical objects, right? One of the things that they give is like a coffin full of roses. Like that's just what you have with you on the train, right? Or like a special teapot, right? Like you
someone was chained to a skeleton in one of the sketches.
Yep.
Yeah, like so you're creating these like mementos, and you're riding on this train with other passengers. And as you ride on this train, you have different conductors that kind of change the rules a little bit. But one of the most important things is you're supposed to like discover who you are and like tell these stories and like explain things to the passengers around you as you're passing these massive vistas, right? So you're passing these like impossible cities and impossible scenes on like these trains that have these like big windows, right? And seeing these fantastical things. And a lot of the game is like describing what it means to you, how it makes you feel, what emotions this evokes within you. And that seems to be like the main crux and concept of this game, is like this very reflective, introspective type of experience. So again, not for everybody, but definitely something that is very unique.
I have thought. I pinned a thought.
Yeah.
This I want right now. This is what I want. So like it's been popular to make the sound tracks that's just like lo-fi music to study to or whatever. And then they have me too. And then they have the image. They have an image drawn on there that moves like a little bit and like does certain things. Like it's not a lot, but it's just enough that when you look up, you go, oh, that's different, kind of a thing, right? Or that's pretty. I want that for this train. I want just like 2 hours of music and just like the train noise going, and the windows, you see these cities like really slowly go by, these really cool cities, and then for a while it's just desert, and then these giant cities again. How freaking cool would that be?
You know what this reminds me of, Joe? This reminds me of our Moon Festival journey, but only during the hallucinations. That's where this is.
So here's
Moon
one
Festival
thing
in D&D. This isn't a real life thing.
Dreams or something. Yeah. We didn't actually go to a Moon Festival.
Here's something that I will say about this project. It's 80 pages. So wow. Somebody put some work into this, and I think that's because like there's
30
stops and over 30 events and 4 conductors, and like it's really one of the things that they give you is puns.
I was just about to say, I was like, oh, there are puns. I must buy it.
This is very different. This is if you have a group that wants to go into caves and smash goblins, you should not play this. But if you have a group that's like up for weird shit, like this, like if you have a group,
name of the episode.
Are you up for weird shit?
Are you up for weird shit?
Yeah. I remember in our test episode, Hannah got really we did like a test episode, like a pre-show before we actually started doing putting these out live, and Hannah reviewed a project about like being a bug, right?
The bug.
Oh yeah.
Remember?
Catacorium.
Yeah. So Hannah reviewed this project about being a bug, and I just remember being like, hey group, we're gonna be bugs this week and play a bug game, right?
You have to really be creative.
Cool. Like, am I like a ladybug with a sword? Be like, no, you're a ladybug. That's it. Like there's nothing further to it.
You have to really have someone that's like really able to figure this stuff out in their mind. They have to really be able to be creative.
This is for a certain group of people. I mean, this is in the indie RPG space, right? This is not in the D&D and D&D adjacent space at all. This is in the R indie storytelling collaborative, like maybe take an edible like space, right? This is the territory.
Oh my gosh.
Territory that we're like journeying in.
That session was great. I don't remember what happened, but it was great.
Like, if you are like, I really dig this, why not play a game about riding a train and looking at some really crazy shit while you're chained to a skeleton? Why not?
Yeah.
All right.
Why not? Why not, indeed?
Now,
there's also Turtle Teapot.
I think you've just sold yourself on this, Joe.
I've got to talk about the value though, because
Okay.
This is a tough one. You get the digital version of this for $12, and I recommend that. That is my recommendation. Because the hardcover version of this 80-page book is $52. Okay? Which is a lot. Somebody has spent, I would say, a better part of a lifetime developing and making this game. Okay? And, you know, Penguin King Games, like, you are like on your stuff. You're doing some dope stuff.
Cool.
But $52 for an 80-page book seems like a hard ask when the concept of what I'm getting is so out there, right? If this was like $34, I'd probably I would be in there. But for $52, I just kind of like sit back and ask myself, I'm like, that's a lot. You're over a $50 bill. So I'm like, what am I gonna like this seems like something I'm gonna play one time. And if you're asking me to spend over $50 to see if like this is an experience I'm going to enjoy, I'm not saying it's not worth it, but I'm saying I probably will just figure out the digital and use that at some point in time, even though I feel like the hardcover book would be beautiful and the illustrations would be fantastic. I don't know. This is a very weird project for me. Yeah. But I gotta roll it. Gotta score it.
Really quick, I want to point out that when you're looking at these backer numbers, they support you. $249 for the digital edition, 249 backers, and 188 for the hardcover. I think if they had introduced a $35 or $30 softcover edition, they probably would have many more backers.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Or at least more people going for that over the digital. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I've got to roll this. And I have lamented over how to score a project like this because it's like, and so I've come to a conclusion. This is going to get a 13, but I am going to give it a +2 for motherfucking trains.
Joe's trains now, apparently, too.
Oh, I love trains. I have an entire shelf that's nothing but board games about trains.
I didn't know this.
I'm not like a foam or anything, but I love trains. Trains are the best. I have been quoted. I used to have a podcast about playing heavy board games, like heavy economic board games. And I was very famous on that show for saying the only thing you can do to make a game better is put trains. Like trains only make things better.
I guess we have a new title, MF and Trains.
Yeah. So, like, if you put trains in your game, you're gonna get a +2 from me. Keep that in mind.
Literature and trains; those are modifiers now.
Sorry, it's Dante's Inferno to Hell. Put some trains in there.
Put some trains
in. We're good to go.
Yeah. I don't want a highway to hell. I want train tracks to hell.
I want a train to hell.
13 +2 for trains because it's just
+2 for trains. That's the title. +2 for trains.
But no, I love the
it is.
I love
+2 for trains.
I love the wild concept. I love the wild concept of
it's very wild.
Riding a train, seeing these magnificent views, and just talking about them.
Great.
Seems very chill.
If that is what the game is, because I'm still not 100% sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's just like your job to figure out once you get it, man. What is this game? This game of life.
Let's talk about it. And when you talk about it, you're going to need a place to write all those notes down. You see that segue?
Segways.
You see that segue, guys? Segways. They're not as cool as trains, but... So I am talking about something very, very simple now. We'll bring it back to the simple side here in Dungeon Notes. Yeah, I'm tired now. It's getting late. Let's talk about notes. So this is Dungeon Notes, a set of 5e journals and guided sticky notes for both D&D players and DMs to keep track of your home game like never before. Very simple, very streamlined. I absolutely love it. I've actually backed this one. Greg, if you're watching, I backed this one. So It's $65,000 raised of their $10,000 goal. Almost 1,000 backers, still has 8 days to go. Plenty of time for you to hop on and grab this really, really cool project. Because this is literally just these clean and simple looking notes, little binders like this. So Moleskin journals are like my favorite thing. I'll buy giant packs of Moleskin journals and just like use them for whatever and then throw them away, right? These are very similar to that. It's like that A5 style like that. I love the black and white. My one complaint about this is that they have other colors, but they're all bright colors and it doesn't seem to fit. I wish they had like darker colors because this black and white looks so cool. But these are specifically for D&D, so the player's version actually has all of the stuff that you would have on a character sheet in the journal. So you can put all of your character stats in there. You can erase stuff as you level up, just like you would your character sheet. There's a place for all of your equipment, for all of your items, and then of course there's plenty of pages for you to take notes on what happens throughout the campaign. Very simple, very streamlined, very, very nice. The one that I love is the Dungeon Master set. So it's a 2 set, one for campaign notes and one for session notes. And when you back at the $24 level, you get 1 campaign and 2 session journals, which I think is absolutely perfect. So on the DM's one, so the campaign one has some big ideas, big questions, but it still has lots and lots of just pages, just for notes. My biggest complaint about a lot of DM notebooks like this is that they try and put too much in the notebook that I don't actually want most of the time. I just want a little bit and then just room for the notes with some pretty art on the front, right? This respects it being a small little book, not a giant book, and kind of respects that. It gives you some gods of your world. It also gives you, super cool, some blank maps. So some of the pages at the top are just these really nice blank maps of towns, villages, caves, whatever, that you can sketch in, doodle in, put things different places, and then write the notes down below those. So if you're someone who likes to add in villages and stuff, which even if you're running a pre-written, you're probably going to want to add some things in there, right? This is perfect for that. These are also perfect for taking notes on pre-written adventures. So even if you're not homebrewing, this is an excellent place to go through your pre-written adventure, take notes as you're going along of all of those different things. And then of course your session notes have places for like your NPCs that you're going to create. And again, just lots of open, simple room for your session notes. When it gets filled up, if you don't need it anymore, you can toss it or you can compact it, however you want to do that. Next part I love is sticky notes. I love sticky notes. So I got my Curse of Strahd here, right? And I got sticky notes all over this thing. And on the inside, there's tons of sticky notes just on different things to remind me to do things, or that this person is actually connected to this other person that's like 1,500 pages away or whatever. So I love sticky notes. So having little sticky notes for quests, for locations, for NPCs, like all that stuff that you can just literally stick in the binder with your session notes so it's all together and you can move things around. Absolutely simple and genius. Super, super useful, and I really like it. And of course, they also have spell trackers, HP trackers, and initiative trackers on those little sticky notes too.
But also, if you're not homebrewing, are you even playing D&D?
I know, right? I walked into the store and bought this and felt like I needed to have sunglasses on. Because I felt like I was getting like drugs or something. I was like, this isn't right. I shouldn't be doing this because I've homebrewed for so long, right? Side note though, Curse of Strahd is fantastic and I really, really have been enjoying it. But so prices on these, super affordable. Like I said, you get those 3 journals. You can get 3 of the Hero's Note ones. So the player's version for $24. And the same thing for the DM's version. You get a campaign and 2 session books for $24. Your sticky notes, you can get a whole set for an additional $32, or they have it to where you can add just the ones that you want. So you can add those in as you want. You get a big bundle for 50 that has either the DM's bundle or the player's bundle that has all the sticky notes and the 3 notebooks, which I actually think is a really good deal. I like that deal. I probably should have done that deal. I might change my thing now. I think that's a really good value.
I just backed it for that level.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. I was like, oh man, I think it said more than that when I picked the individual sticky notes I wanted. So, but yeah, I think this is a super great value. I think this is very simple and really, really nice. But did you see the different colors that I was talking about?
Yes.
Do they just feel wrong to you?
Yeah. Well,
I like the green.
Also,
I think the green.
it's also
like
the
it.
same way that I felt about when I last week when I talked about the role to play character creation book thing, right?
Mhm.
I was like, they're asking extra money for like these custom covers, but I'm like, I kind of just the generic cover more than I like those, right?
I know, yeah. And they're not asking anymore for those. They were that was their unlocked at different levels, was different colors. But I feel like the art like just looked good. If you're gonna do white art, you have to do dark background, you know? And then the orangey yellow one, I don't know.
It's pretty bright. I think this is really nice. I think if you are the type of person who really likes to take notes and work on this stuff like you do, I think this is great. I'm not sure where $24 kind of comes into play. You know,
how dare you? I think I spent that on these 2 moleskin.
Yeah, if they're nice journals, I'm like, what does that equal out to? That's like $8 each.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's about what I spent. Like, look, I mean, look, this is my workbook. This is my RPG book. One of these is for Chinese, and one of these is like used up from work. Like, I literally have 5.
So many.
How much are those per though?
They're probably like $2.
Those are cheaper.
But they're literally just college ruled books. They don't have any useful stuff in them.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So these have useful stuff.
So what would you give this roll? And really quick, I just want to send out a short apology to our viewers. We are experiencing a drop in service on our end. Things are running well. So not sure, this may be a Twitch issue, so apologies, y'all. But we're about to finish up the episode. We only have a couple more things in our fun finds. But Hannah, what are you going to roll this?
I love this, but it is super simple and just something, I don't know, applies to certain people. Some people like all their stuff digitally. If you're a physical book kind of person, I think this is super useful. I give it a 14, and then I gave it a +1 for the flexibility of those Post-it notes. I love that idea. The little sticky notes are perfect that you can just put wherever you want to be. So what did I say?
14 plus 1.
Yeah, 15. I can do that math. 15 total on this. Just a solid little project.
Solid. Absolutely. Yeah. So my last one, for those of you who are new here, I am the resident dice goblin. I love dice. I love people when they design really cool, unique dice. I'm always on the lookout. For example, like the electronic ones that I saw last one that
those were
work
so
with an app,
cool.
and you can customize them for certain spells and certain roles. Those were amazing. So this week, they are not technologically advanced, gonna take over the world AI dice. However, they are hieroglyphic RPG dice sets, and I just thought these were beautiful. I really wanted to highlight how really well designed and themed these were. I'm a big fan of Egyptian gods and goddesses, and all of Egyptian mythology I think is super, super interesting. When I was in like elementary school and growing up, I really loved Anubis. I was a big fan of Anubis and all of the different Egyptian gods.
What a strange child.
What does that mean? I was a big fan of Anubis.
I thought he was like the coolest. I thought he was like the coolest Egyptian god. I just thought he was the coolest.
I don't know if I knew them when I was a child. That's cool. Good for you.
But what these are, they are actually themed towards Egyptian gods. So the very top ones here being Anubis, they're like these black, gold, green, blue, these really beautiful gold speckled dice. Absolutely gorgeous, and they have Anubis as the 20. They come with these cards that it's like a magical item. And Mask of the Tomb Guardian. When equipped by your character, the mask provides special stats and spells that are a perfect complement to Death Dealers.
That's cool.
Really, really cool. The
Clever.
Scarab dice, these are
Those
really
are pretty.
The Scarab dice are gorgeous. There's Axe of the Scarab. Accompanying the Scarab dice is the Axe of the Scarab, is a magical item from bonus action and features a boost to damage and other magical properties. So if you use the dice, then you also have these item cards that you get. The Eye of Horus is gorgeous. What was that?
This is exactly what we said the people that were making the tea needed to do.
Yeah.
They needed to have this.
Yep.
This is what was missing from the tea.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. So these are absolutely gorgeous. There's also a limited item, an Anubis dice sarcophagus, which holds your dice, which is super interesting.
That's cool.
I really just thought this was a really cool project, and just something that's really, really fun. It's created by Brandon.
Brandon.
Fantastic
Brandon. Job, Brandon.
Nice job, Brandon.
Hey, Brandon.
Of Awesome Dice.
Brandon says he's the current owner of Awesome Dice, and I'm like, you should make a new Kickstarter page called Awesome Dice.
Awesome Dice, probably.
I like Brandon. It makes you feel like you know him, you know? It's like a vibe from Brandon.
What's up, I'm Brandon.
I like Brandon too. It's very.
Where'd you get your dice, Brandon?
Brandon made them.
You guys
Brandon
just missed my great pun.
Sorry, what was your?
I'm
what was
sorry,
your pun?
Joe.
That was rude of us.
I said I really like Brandon too. I feel like it's very on brand.
Oh my gosh. So I think
You're
these are
welcome.
really
There's
cool.
Whoa! There are subclasses! Guys!
Let's scroll.
They made subclasses to go with their
here.
dice!
Oh, the sub. How did I? They really, honestly, they buried these.
Dude!
They buried these.
They buried that, but look at it!
Wow, good catch, Hannah. So, expanding the D&D universe. While the influence of European mythology runs deep in D&D lore, we'd love to see additional cultural influences find its way into D&D. That's why we are not only offering the dice, but also bonus content.
Yeah!
Early bird, Chariot, Sphinx, and Pharaoh level backers will receive a downloadable PDF of our home-brewed ancient Egyptian-themed subclasses.
That's cool art, too. That art is dope.
See, now I want to learn more about these subclasses.
I know. Brandon!
I'm a little disappointed, Brandon.
Brandon. They're all gone. Brandon, we want your subclasses.
Wow, I'm a
Because those
little
look really
sad.
cool. Yeah, sorry.
Now I want to learn a little bit more. Oh, well. So to get these dice, they've raised over $20,000, first of all. Brandon, nice job. You did it.
Good job.
You did it, buddy. Receive for $50, you can receive one of any unlocked dice set. So $50 for the entire set. I actually think this is one of the lower priced dice sets that we've reviewed. And honestly, I think I would do it for these. The Anubis ones were they're all gorgeous. I'm gonna be honest.
I like the
They're
Scarab.
really sweet, and they come with the items too. The price does not include shipping, so that'll be after you back and everything, and they ship in October 2021. So I think these are really cool. As a dice goblin, I am definitely thinking about backing.
Oh, November, perfect time for Christmas.
Yeah,
Christmas
gifts. So this is what I would roll the hieroglyphic dice here. I am going to give them a 15. I think they are great, but I'm going to give them a +2 for gorgeousness.
It's a valid modifier.
Gorgeousness, just beauteousness.
Gorgeousness.
Just for sheer beauty. I think these are gorgeous dice, and I think they have a really beautiful theme around them, and I think it's a very smart theme. They bring up those subclasses though. I'm definitely more interested in those. I want to see this.
Yep.
So
I'm sad that we don't get to see those.
Right? I'm a little sad on that actually now that I know, but maybe one day, So those have been our first 9 projects that we have chosen for this week's episode. We are on the last 3 things, which are our fun finds, and there's, as Hannah mentioned at the beginning of the episode, quick little things that we found that you might want to pick up, you might want to learn about, you might want to find for yourself, and these can range anywhere all over the web. So, Joe, what is your fun find?
So I love checking out what people are posting about on Self Promo Saturday over on Twitter. It's a big hashtag within the RPG community. It's also used a lot by like OnlyFans too. So like, you know, like when you're searching for that hashtag, you know, get a little OnlyFans, get a little RPG,
I don't, what? No, that's
people
not
use People use hashtag self promo Saturday, and it's funny because I search for that hashtag to look for RPG stuff because it's widely used in the RPG community, but it's also been picked up by like the OnlyFans community. So like you see so when you're searching for that hashtag and you're just like scrolling through all of the stuff that was posted on Saturday, it's like RPG, OnlyFans. Okay, like what? It's just.
I thought you said OnlyFans, and then it took me a second. I was like, did he just say OnlyFans?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sex work is real work. Support, go out, buy yourself some, some good stuff. Support some people on there. Everyone's having a tough time.
Some bathwater.
This is taking a turn, Joe. What's your fun find, my friend?
Anyways.
There's trains on there.
Yeah. Anyway. Wow. Anyways, I'm going to talk about something I found on Twitter, which is you can at this guy at the Anti-Spiral 1 Primavera, the World Spire Journal. So this is a Patreon content creator that is making D&D content. So Hannah, you can definitely relate. But he has a big project that is actually dropping on his Patreon tomorrow. And what it is a guide to Kaiju Born. So this is a 5e supplement for adding kaiju monsters to your campaign.
Wow.
Which sounds like such a cool thing. I know everyone's really excited about Kong vs. Godzilla coming out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that maybe if you're interested in putting something like that, go check out the Patreon over there on Primavera's stuff. His Patreon is Primavera's World Spire Journal. I'm sorry, what?
I think they just got to. I think our OnlyFans.
Greg, the stream just got there. My husband's in the other room watching it and just lost it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's legitimate. Like, I should start one, honestly.
I'm gonna start an OnlyFans. Joe, that's our next business venture.
If I do, can I put a commercial in the Wanderers, or can I put a commercial in Wolf Review for it?
Welcome.
All right.
Oh my god.
Primavera, the World Spire Journal, Kaiju Born supplement for your D&D campaigns.
Oh yeah, it's getting late. You can tell.
Dropping tomorrow on the 31st of March, 2021.
Great fun find, Joe.
Hannah, tell us about your fun find.
Great. Mine is Mystical Studios. And specifically on the website, this was actually, speaking of Patreon, one of my patrons. We have a patron-only Discord where we chat all the time. And she just recently bought one of these bags and made all of us jealous. So I was like, please send me the link because I have to show the world this amazing thing. So It's a Dice Bag is the name of it, and literally it's a really, really cool traveling dungeon master's bag. So it's big enough to perfectly house your books, and if you've got pockets on the inside for dice and everything. But the really cool thing about it is that the front is clear, and you've got this nice felt area where you can put your pins, because Mystical Studios also does really, really fun and creative D&D pins. So if you just kind of bop around the site like Pin Sale, you can see all kinds of original art, gorgeous enamel pins that you can buy your favorites, and then you can display them proudly on your little dice bag. And I thought that was just so perfect. I love pins. I have a Dungeon Master pin that I keep on my purse, and I love pins. And then the bag was just, they go perfectly together, and I thought it was super cool. And I travel as a DM to people's houses and stuff, so always looking for useful Dungeon Master bags. Yeah, and she showed us like the inside of it, super well constructed. She loves it, is a raving fan. So I can say that somebody that I know has bought this and loves it. So it's definitely worth it. Yeah,
I
cool
like the
little
brown
studio.
and green one because it looks like a turtle shell.
It does look like a
Yeah,
turtle
me too.
shell.
I was thinking druid, but yeah, that works too.
Love it.
That was my favorite too.
All right, so my fun find is this Etsy shop here, Artisan Dungeons. These absolutely beautiful carved dungeons that are handmade. Ooh. They're dungeon maps and they're 3D and they're like carved out of wood and they are absolutely gorgeous.
So cool.
Absolutely love these. I think these are really, really well made. They look really cool. They are specifically, they're almost like randomly generated in a way. And I feel like when you're ordering from someone like this, you're supporting a smaller creator and you're supporting just these really, really cool opportunities to expand your own presentation for your players, expanding the world. And I think this is would be really a cool addition for anyone's table. So cool. Artisan Dungeons and Dragons tabletop cave dungeon terrain. It's only $50 for a really beautiful handmade product that I think would definitely be worth it. So those are our fun finds, and this has been quite the episode. Absolutely. Yeah. We have had more visitors to our channel than we have before, so thank you so much for the support. It means so much. So if you like what you saw, please consider following, and we'll be here every other Tuesday, same time, same place, 7:30 p.m. Central. Our episodes load onto our YouTube channel next day, Roll for Review. And let's get Joe to start an OnlyFans. Start spreading hashtag JoeOnlyFans.
Yep. JoeOnlyFans. And don't forget, no matter what, you get +2 for trains.
+2 for trains. Everyone,
+2 for trains.
Have a wonderful night. Thank you so much, and we will see you in a couple weeks for our next episode.
Bye.
Have a great night, everyone.
Bye. Thanks, guys.